Good afternoon and welcome to Lariat TV News Today. I'm Julia Lorenz.
And I'm Emma Witt. Thanks for joining us. A McLennan County jury acquitted former Baylor football player Sean Oakman of sexual assault on Thursday. A visiting judge presided over the trial after Oakman's attorneys filed a motion to recuse Judge Ralph Strother, and he agreed to step aside. The defense claimed Oakman did not rape the alleged victim, but that it was consensual sex. That woman was one of 16 people who testified, including police, medical experts, and friends of both Oakman and the woman. She did take the stand to describe the incident that happened nearly 3 years ago, but Oakman did not testify. The jury deliberated for just over 2 hours before making their decision. LTVN's Kennedy Dendy was at the courthouse when their verdict was read.
Former Baylor football player Sean Oakman has been found not guilty of sexual assault. The emotions both in and outside of the courtroom are undescribable as Oakman walks out a free man.
After about 2 hours of jury deliberation, Sean Oakman, who was surrounded in court by family members and friends, received the verdict that they all had been hoping for.
Come on. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
I felt like all that was on me. I was a leader of Baylor, of Waco, of the community that I was in, and they took us down from the top. They took the best player off the field. They took the best coach out of the Big 12, and that's how they did it. And we coming for everything. We coming to get everything back.
This is just God's work.
Yes.
God made sure that justice would be served, and I'm glad that it was unanimous. I'm glad that we had this opportunity to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Sean Oakman was robbed of this time period.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
How do you feel?
We back.
After the verdict was read, prosecutors declined to comment, but Robert Moody earlier said that the alleged victim was in the courthouse, but not in the courtroom at the time.
But most of all, Lord God, I thank you for Jesus. I thank you for his blood he shed on Calvary. I thank you for the word of God because it never, ever loses its power.
For Lariat TV News, I'm Kennedy Dendy.
Baylor student tour guides removed issues of the Baylor Lariat newspaper on February 9th from newsstands at the Penland Crossroads in the Foster Campus for Business and Innovation. This is according to eyewitness accounts that have been confirmed by the university. Jason Cook, Baylor's vice president for marketing and communications, explained in a statement that the removal of newspapers was a miscommunication. He said the incident was an isolated one and vowed to never let it happen again. February 9th was Know Where You're Going Day, and the Baylor Media and Public Relations Office estimated there were over 2,000 prospective students touring campus that day. That issue of the Lariat had a front-page story headline that said 5th alleged rape reported, referring to a report on the Clary Crime-Og.
Dr. Nancy Brickhouse was named Baylor's provost after a nationwide search and took over that role March 1st. The announcement was made by President Dr. Linda Livingstone on Wednesday, less than a week after this quarter's Board of Regents meeting. Along with addressing the status of the new provost, the Board of Regents committed to keep funding The Store, a free food pantry for students, after a moving presentation on food insecurity from Baylor students. The board meeting also touched on the topic of Illuminate, the first pillar of Baylor's campaign and a Christian educational movement. Other important topics of discussion included an update on the campus climate as well as a decision to foreclose on 2 Baylor-owned apartment complexes that were in poor condition.
Friday and Saturday nights are the final sing performances that students from various organizations have been preparing for months.
LTVN's Sarah Gill spoke to 2 sing chairs about the process behind their acts.
We got elected as sing chairs last April, and we had to actually choose our theme and submit it in April. So we start probably a year in advance, and we start out just from honestly ground zero. And we start out with a theme and just start brainstorming actually anything you can come up with. So originally we just started throwing out ideas, and bees came up, and we thought it was a really cute idea, but we didn't want to settle on something. And then we started coming up with songs like I'm a Bee, and then we started coming up with funny aspects like beekeepers, and it just started flowing. And we just couldn't stop coming up with new ideas and small details that we just had to do it because it was just seemed like it was perfect.
The idea behind our act this year
is it's New Year's Eve in Times Square, so super fun, big party. And the conflict that kind of arises is that out of nowhere, a street rat cuts out the power, chews through the wire, and oh my gosh, New Year's is ruined. So for a little while, everyone's pretty scared and freaked out and worried that New Year's is totally ruined. And then we kind of decide, you know what, we can fix this problem. And luckily we have some electricians that come in and save the day and end up saving New Year's. We actually have 12 sing chairs between us and Tridelt. So you know, it's obviously a lot of people all running the show at one time. Even though we've had 200 people all crammed into a sorority room every night, we've been able to make things work and like have a really good time this entire process of learning choreography and putting the act together.
While the Sing judges have the final say in who goes to Pigskin, you have an opportunity to select your favorite act for the first ever Lariat's People Choice Award. This award will be announced on Monday in a special episode of Lariat TV News Today. To vote for your favorite, visit BaylorLariat.com or subscribe to The Morning Buzz.
More than 3.6 million U.S. youth used electronic cigarettes in 2018, according to the advisory, and Baylor students are not excluded from this epidemic. Lily Ettinger, the Assistant Director of Wellness for the Beecham Addiction Recovery Center, said Baylor began gathering information on students who used e-cigarettes in the fall of 2015. Ettinger said Baylor's strict ban on nicotine from campus still hasn't stopped the rising e-cigarette use. For those who are wanting to quit smoking or vaping or both, there are many resources offered on campus. There's an on-campus pharmacy located in the McLean Student Life Center, which offers Baylor-approved nicotine replacement therapy, such as gum and patches. The Bark is located on the bottom floor of Teal Residential College, near the corner of 3rd and Bagby.
Youth homelessness is more common than you think and can lead to a variety of outcomes. Waco ISD has more than 1,000 homeless students, and the district has created a safe haven for some of those students. LTVN's Kennedy Dendy visited that local nonprofit to learn why these young people are able to call the Cove their home.
In the United States, over 1.6 million youth experience homelessness each year. One Waco nonprofit has created a place of empowerment for the students whom they serve.
The Cove is a safe place for young people experiencing homelessness to thrive.
Mentorship is a large part of what the Cove hopes to provide to their students, and the Cove Coach program accomplishes just that.
They're pretty much your biggest fans, your supporters. They push you to the extreme to do what you can to achieve your goals. They are really supportive, they're fun, and it's pretty much like another family.
The resources that are offered help create a safe place where all are welcome.
The Cove is amazing. They open you with well-opened arms, and they treat you like you're a part of their family. They don't treat you any different from anyone else. They treat you like you're their family.
We want every single student to thrive. So that could include dealing with difficulties from their past, but it could also include looking ahead at the capacities that they have to have a bright future.
For Lariat TV News, I'm Kennedy Dendy.
Coming up, we've got a story on how both Baylor professors and students feel about the website BU Books.
We also look at Baylor's dominant cybersecurity team and check in on the sorority cycling craze right after this break.
The best and brightest are drawn to Baylor, where those from many backgrounds with many talents shine together before casting their light outward to illuminate the world. Through transformational learning opportunities that are grounded in Christian faith and service, and research that impacts lives and communities. Baylor University, a place where lights shine bright.
As students are finishing up advising appointments for the following semester, there's a sense of urgency to make the perfect schedule. I discovered if you use BU Books, a professor rating site, you may be able to find the right professor for you. As students begin to choose their courses and professors for the following semester, the hunt begins for a perfect schedule. BU Books is a website where students can write out reviews for professors and share about coursework and teaching styles. I went out to hear a few professors' thoughts on this rating resource.
BU Books is building the idea of education as being a popularity contest. And so people are choosing who they perceive as nice and easy rather than who is considered to be thorough.
I do encourage students to seek out as much information as they can about potential courses. With a site like BU Books, it's good to read up and see what people are saying, but it's important to take it with a grain of salt.
Well, it's important to get feedback from your students, but it's also important that that feedback have some positivity about it. And what I was reading on BU Books was just a lot of complaining.
There's two sides to every story, and not only was it important to hear the professors' opinions, it's also key to hear what everyday students believe to be true about this website.
I use BU Books and I find it very helpful because it's what other students have found that works in their classes with that certain professor, and it gives you a little insight as to what that class is going to be like.
I personally use BU Books just to kind of gauge the professor, but as I've been progressing through college, I kind of realize it's more about taking a professor that benefits your understanding and taking a professor that's going to push you to do better.
After hearing from professors and students, it is evident that BU Books can have false criticism, but can also provide insightful information to professors and courses. For Lariat TV News, I'm Julia Lorenz.
Baylor's first African-American professor, Dr. Vivian Malone Mays, was recognized for her success and accomplishments at an event in her honor Tuesday evening. Their ceremony featured different guest speakers who shared their admiration for Dr. Malone Mays and the dedication of a new bust sculpture in her honor. Dr. Malone Mays was also one of the first African-American women to receive her PhD in mathematics, and then served on the board of directors for the National Association of Mathematics. In reference to the ceremony for Malone Mays and the bust that will be displayed in the Sid Richardson building, her daughter, Patsy Wheeler, remarked that Baylor has stepped up, showed out, and made her proud.
Baylor's cybersecurity team is a fairly new organization, but they still managed to beat some big-name universities in their recent qualifying competition. I found out where this team is headed next. Baylor's cybersecurity student organization that is only 3 years old just finished the qualifiers as one of the top 8 teams for the Southwest Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition and beat big-name colleges including A&M and SMU.
We just finished the Southwest CCDC qualifiers, and we finished as one of the top 8 teams out of 21 in the Southwest region. So that advances us to the regional round. So we are busy preparing to make sure that we can take on these best teams of the Southwest.
Cybersecurity it's kind of a new field that's just now kind of becoming now we're hearing about it on the news, and now there's a ton of jobs opening for it. Now that it's kind of growing, I feel like more girls will kind of get into it.
Cybersecurity is really an exciting area for the students. They're graduating to 6-figure jobs.
You may wonder how the team prepares for competitions. The team of 12 practices for over 5 hours per week, and they imitate real-life situations of having to prevent professional hackers from intruding their systems.
In practices, we focus on 2 things. One is building skill sets. And then the other thing we do is we try to mimic the scenarios at the regionals.
As the captain, I kind of am in, my role is kind of to understand what everybody else is doing and then kind of manage that.
Out of the team of 12, 8 team members will head to regionals in Tulsa, Oklahoma on March 22nd and 23rd and have to beat all 8 teams at the regional competition to advance to nationals.
Everyone but one person on the team graduated last year, so this is a brand new team. I think everyone's kind of putting in a lot of work, and everyone's working really hard and trying their best to kind of find the holes that we don't understand, develop those so that we can really be the best that we can be.
For Lariat TV News, I'm Julia Lorenz.
A local favorite has been recognized nationally in Yelp's top 100 places to eat in the United States. Lula Jane's, located at 406 Elm Street, is known for more than just desserts and has been serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner since 2012. Owner Nancy Grayson said her mission is to build a community by gathering and serving the East Waco area, and that this mission sets the restaurant apart. Grayson says the store does not accept tips and that leftover money is given as a donation to Caritas or Mission Waco. If you haven't tried this Waco staple, the restaurant is open from 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. from Tuesday through Friday, opens at 8 a.m. on Saturdays, and is closed on Sunday and Monday.
Baylor sororities are competing in the Cycle Bar Challenge. The challenge started February 25th and already 400 to 500 young women have participated. The sorority with the most rides receives $500 for their philanthropy and 50% off membership for the next month. Maddie J. Haw, an instructor at Cycle Bar, told LTVN's Sarah Gill the reason why the 8-month-old business is hosting the challenge.
For us, it was really just an untapped market that we really wanted to hit, and we thought we could also do something good for the community too by donating to their philanthropy. But really, we wanted to get as many people as we possibly could inside the door. So when we walk in this studio, we want you to experience like the amazing magic that we have, and we get to experience all the time as instructors and workers here. So our biggest thing is that we want you to walk out of here with your head held high, feeling like you actually achieved something for yourself.
Classes are almost completely booked for the next few weeks, so make sure to call and reserve your ride. Sorority members must wear their letters to ride, and guests who are accompanied by a sorority member can cycle for $2 if they bring their Baylor ID. The challenge ends March 9th.
A Baylor professor is being inducted into the Collegiate SID Hall of Fame on February 25th for his work as a sports information director. Maxie Parrish said he grew up coming to Baylor games, and he told LTVN's Caroline Waterhouse how one person in particular introduced him to the world of sports.
Well, my father used to tell me a story about going to a Baylor basketball game when I was about 8 or 9 years old. And down next to the side of the court was a table, and people got to sit there right next to the players. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I said, "Who are those people?" And he said, "Well, those are the sports writers. Those are the people who write the stories for the newspaper." And I said, "Well, who's that guy that seems to be in charge?" He said, "That's the sports information director." And I said, "I want to do that someday." And lo and behold, I did. And so, you know, I guess I have to give some credit to my dad for taking me to Baylor athletic events and instilling in me the love of sports, the love of Baylor, and then the love of reading and writing as well, too.
The Baylor's men's basketball team pulled out an OT nail-biter against UT Wednesday night.
Noah's got the hookup for everything Baylor sports right after the break.
Well, the eyes of Texas were upon Baylor Wednesday night as the Bears took down the Longhorns in overtime inside a lit-up Farrell Center, and LTVN's Elizabeth Tharp has the story.
The Bears took the lead by 4 in the first half, but the Longhorns quickly answered with some threes that pushed UT to the lead by 11. Then came the second half. Baylor fought hard and reclaimed their spot in the game with Devontae Bandu sinking 2 threes and 2 free throws, tying the score 64-64. After that, it was back and forth and sent into overtime. The Bears remained collected and confident when UT was up by 6 with 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining, and after a 3-pointer by Jared Butler, dunk by Freddie Gillespie, a jumper by Mark Vidal, and 2 clutch free throws by Mario Kegler, it was all said and done for the Longhorns.
Really credit Bandu, Jared, Rio, Mark, and Freddie for getting us on a run and finishing it off, and everyone in the huddles being locked in and encouraging them. So it was one of those great Baylor wins, and the fans were tremendous. They gave us a great lift.
The game was tough in the first half, but we came in the locker room. We said, no matter what, stay together. No matter what, play with joy. And we did. I didn't realize it was that bad, 19, but I just always kept the faith, kept encouraging, trying to make simple plays, not trying to win it all at one time. And that's what we did. These guys, everybody on the team stepped up, and it was a fun time, fun game.
After 2 days of much-deserved rest, the Baylor men's basketball team will hit the road to face Kansas State next on Saturday. For Lariat TV News, I'm Elizabeth Tharp.
The number 1 ranked Lady Bears earned their season sweep of the 19th ranked Longhorns Monday night 64-35, which is the fewest points Baylor has allowed in a Big 12 game since they played TCU in 2013.
I mean, they're the best to match up against us. I think when we play them, they play with such high intensity, and so do we. It's just a good rivalry, a good game every time we see them. They play with a lot of energy, and if you don't match that, you can slip up, I guess, in a sense.
The 35 points was the second lowest total Texas has scored in its program history in 45 years. Baylor held the lead for 39 minutes and 15 seconds of the game. Their largest lead was in the fourth by 31 points, and they dominated the paint. Senior center Kalani Brown was named player of the game with a double-double of 19 points and 12 rebounds. The Lady Bears host Oklahoma State next inside the Farrell Center at 1 on Saturday. Baylor's baseball won their stiffest test yet against Dallas Baptist on Tuesday. The final score was 10-4 after the Bears overcame 2-0 and 3-2 deficits. David Wenzel and Davian Downey both hit 2 home runs, and Wenzel hitting his first homer of the season. After Wenzel and Downey hit back-to-back homers, senior closer Kyle Hill worked a clean ninth, registering a pair of strikeouts and giving up a 2-out walk. After an 8-0 homestand, the Bears are playing in the Shriners Hospital for Children's College Classic at the Minute Maid Park in Houston. They will play Texas A&M on Friday, Rice on Saturday, and Texas State on Sunday. Baylor softball came in 3rd place at the Bears Invitational this past weekend. They changed pitchers in the lineup several times, but eventually found their rhythm. Sydney Holman was named player of the game against the number 10 ranked Louisiana, keeping the lead 4-3. The number 21 ranked Lady Bears are in the Utah this weekend for the Red Desert Classic. At the Classic, they plan to play Southern Utah, Notre Dame, and California State Bakersfield. It's the 3rd meet in the 2019 season for the 4-time national champs and number 1 ranked Baylor acrobatics and tumbling team, and they're looking hot, taking down the 3rd ranked Quinnipiac by more than 11 points in the Farrell Center. Since it was their first home meet, senior Kaylee Adams said it was incredible because they had their home behind you and cheering them on. Both her and head coach Felicia Mulkey said even though they're undefeated, there's still lots of room for improvement. Coming up next, Baylor will take on 2nd-ranked Oregon on March 3rd. And that's your sports update for this Friday.
Thanks for watching Lariat TV News Today.
We'll see you next week. Have a great day.